All right. As I said, we have a heavy case we're going to talk about. It's the story of young Michaela. She was 14 years old. She was failed by the court systems who ordered her to go live with her convicted sexual stepfather who was convicted. Literally, he pled guilty to sexually her younger sibling. And rather than go back and live with him, she chose to take her life. There is a pending case right now, a wrongful death lawsuit that has been brought, that is being ran by Avita Tolu. She's going to be joining us in about 10 minutes or so, but we're going to be going through a summary so you guys are all caught up with this story. Nobody's really talking about this, and I wanted to get this out there. So you're going to want to stick around. We got a lot to talk about. This is going to be a heavy one. Let's get started.
Whatever you might be going through and wherever you might be, this is Omar Serrano with the Tilted Lawyer Podcast. I'm here to take your mind off of things. Yes, I'm an attorney. No, I'm not giving you legal advice. We're going to sit and talk like people, as these are the candid thoughts of one practicing attorney, and it's after hours. So have a seat. Feel free to have a drink and join me. Let's get started.
So all those things you were saying, I didn't hear anything that you just said.
So
you're asking me questions.
Oh, no. I'm saying that, clarifying. So it's Michaela's father who's the convicted, and Michaela's stepsister.
Yes. And by the way, on YouTube, you got to use the word sexual.
Yes.
Because we're going to get pulled.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. But so let's listen. Megan Fox has been covering this case for the last 15 months. She spent a significant amount of time covering it. She wrote multiple articles. I'm going to be referencing some of them. Hey, Dominic, if there's any issues with the sound, just let me know right away. But yeah, this is a story of Michaela Haynes. So just to give you some background, I'm going to pull up Megan Fox's initial article about this that she had written back in 2021. Let me share my screen. If I could find here we go. I should put this over here. Let me do this. Share screen. And wait, there we go. This one. All right, so young Michaela, her story. Michaela Haynes was 14 years old when she took her own life after being repeatedly forced to spend time with a convicted child rapist, her father, Charles Haynes. Haynes is currently in prison in Missouri, serving a sentence for raping Michaela's half-sister. Melissa was when she was a young teen. The nightmare for this family began when Melissa gave her mother a note disclosing that her stepfather, Cynthia Randolph's husband, Charles Haynes, and here's a flattering picture of him right here. This is his mugshot. Gave her mother a note disclosing that her stepfather, Cynthia Randolph's husband, had been abusing her for years. Randolph left with her 3 children, reported the abuse to the police, filed for divorce. Haynes is arrested, charged, and he pleads guilty to sodomizing Melissa. Guardian ad litem Jennifer Williams, and there is a picture of her in our thumbnail here, in all of her infinite wisdom. Guardian ad litems. What do you understand those to be, Ileana? And over here in California, they're minors counsel, right?
Yes.
They're in charge of the best interests of the child.
Correct.
So minors counsel is literally, or a guardian ad litem in this case, is the person who is looking after objectively the best interest of a child. And knowing all of that and making her recommendations to the court, she's supposed to go and interview the parents, interview the children, assess the situation, give her own independent, objective recommendations to the judge, who uses that as persuasive authority to make decisions. So Jennifer Williams, guardian ad litem, was appointed to the case because of the abuse allegations, Instead of protecting the children from Charles Haynes, an admitted child rapist, Williams acted tirelessly to give him and his enabler mother was like 80 something years old or whatever.
90,
yeah, really just inappropriate to be supervising this. Access to the children while accusing Randolph of educational neglect for homeschooling the girls. Significant is the fact that the issue that Jennifer Williams had was the fact that she was being homeschooled perhaps manipulated by mom or coached into saying certain things. So they enroll her in a public school, and young Michaela's performing brilliantly. She's clearly very bright. She makes the honor roll, obtains a good standing with her school. And even that was like, yeah, but still. So inexplicably, Randolph lost custody of the girls to Haynes' mother, Bernice, because of Williams' influence over the court. Randolph reported that Mikaela became despondent after finding out that Williams, who was entrusted to act in Michaela's best interest in the custody dispute, announced her intention to testify on behalf of Charles Haynes at his sentencing hearing after he pled guilty to sodomizing Michaela's sister. On November 23rd, 2018, she heard that Jennifer Williams, her own guardian ad litem, was going to be a character witness on behalf of Charles Haynes for the sexual of Melissa. I don't care anymore if it gets demonetized, whatever. That devastated Mikaela. She said, I'm going to hang myself before I go back to foster care. She was despondent. They were keeping her from mom. There was many phone calls back and forth, just letting everybody know how she felt. And it led to her actually following through.
The next day.
Yeah. So
That's so
PJ
sad.
Media, I'm still reading from Megan Fox, obtained the court transcripts of that sentencing hearing at which Williams did indeed testify. Could you imagine a guardian ad litem or a minor's counsel acting as a character witness for an individual who was convicted of such a crime to say the things that she said?
That's like such a big conflict of interest. Like, I don't understand how she was allowed to do that.
So you're saying that, and when Megan Fox told me about this, I was like, what body of law are we operating under? Because this doesn't resemble any area of family law, family code, dependency law, child welfare that I've ever been exposed to. I've been a lawyer for a long time. You've been a lawyer for a long time too. What, 5 years now? 6 years?
In California, yes.
Yeah. This is just the Twilight Zone. This makes no logical legal sense. And yet here we are. Matter of fact, Megan posted a copy of the transcript that I'm going to try to zoom in on so you could take a look at it. So this, Megan Fox, this was a tweet that she had posted. What do you call it when a guardian ad litem advocates for a convicted child to have access to teen girls even after one of them commits? This is a copy of a transcript. She says, highlighted, I do, however, have concerns that father and his family have not seemed to be able to have any access to the children for quite some time. In what world have you ever, in a litigated case that you've been a part of, heard a minor counsel say that about somebody with that criminal background?
Oh, never.
You and I were just talking yesterday about, hey, we're trying to get like, people guardian of these children, and there's this holdup because of some stupid crime they did from like 11 years ago.
Yes.
It's causing a holdup, and we can't do it because we have to have explanation and clearance and all these things. They're like extra careful in California.
Yes, I had a case like that where it was like about 10 or 11 years ago when the proposed guardian was like 18 or 19, and he, I guess, threatened somebody.
Oh yeah.
With a I don't remember if it was a knife or something.
Some kind of a weapon.
Some kind of weapon. Yes. And now, of course, he's in his late 30s. He changed his life. He has a job and everything. And that created such a big obstacle in the case just to confirm the guardianship.
That's totally the same thing as a child.
It's compare that to I get this.
It's not the same thing.
Sense.
So here we are, and this is, this is public record stuff. She literally says, I have concerns that dad and his family have not seemed to have any access to the children for a reason. If anybody did that in the California courts, they're not getting anywhere near their child in anything more than a professionally monitored capacity. If that.
Yes.
Before Michaela's death, Williams showed a bizarre affection for Charles Haynes, which I have wondered. I asked Evita before we came on today if she knew of any inappropriate relationship perhaps between her and Charles. That's, nobody knows. Nobody can confirm that for sure. But I could think of no other reason why she would recommend the way that she did. I would be embarrassed to make that recommendation as a professional that works, that has a responsibility and a duty to my clients. To the court system as an officer of the court to behave this way. I've been saying that a lot lately, you know?
But it hasn't she been involved in other cases where she has done like recommendations, crazy recommendations like that? So
Bro, she's got like 90 cases a month,
so
90 trials a
necessarily
month.
not necessarily she has I guess it's not necessarily that she has might have a relationship with that guy. It's just the way that she is.
Well, the whole, and Evita's going to talk about this.
Oh yes, because
but
I guess there's something more behind because I saw that.
you know, when people say that the system is corrupt and the
Mhm.
judges are corrupt and the lawyers are corrupt and everybody's working together, at first I get the internal eye roll. It's like, okay.
Mhm.
But there's actual evidence that that might be the thing in Missouri. And I've never practiced in Missouri. I've never been to this. I've driven through on the way from Ohio to California. I drove through St. Louis, the Golden Arches. I forget what the freeway was. I think the 40 or something. But it's just a world that I did not know existed, that I wanted to shed light on because it's worth talking about. So, continuing with this article, William showed bizarre affection. Yeah. So, on William's recommendation, the girls were put into the sole custody of their 90-year-old paternal grandmother, Bernice Haynes. 90 years old.
How is that in the best interest of the child compared to being with their mother? Like
Could you think of a legal, logical reason? Well, let me put it this way. Let me just put it this way. What if the counter argument to they should be with 90-year-old grandmother is, yeah, but mom is homeschooling them and clearly poisoning their mind with homeschooling stuff.
Well, they went to the regular school and they
Exactly
show that there was no they were not being held back or anything like
any
that. To the
judge
contrary.
in the jurisdiction where we
Yes.
practice would say, all right, well, show me evidence that
Exactly.
there's some kind of a thing, because I can't. It seems like she's doing fine.
And there's no abuse allegations against mother or anything like that. In fact, she, as soon as she learned of the allegations of sexual, she right away took the kids away from him.
Yeah.
And I think like she filed for divorce. Like I just don't understand.
So 90-year-old grandmother, that was her recommendation. Bernice Haynes, who had a known history of not supervising her rapist son. You know why? Probably because she's like 90.
Because she needs the supervision, probably.
Well, what if she was like 60? I mean, is she like, she's been labeled an enabler, and so she probably has been that, but now she's 90. Have you ever seen a 90-year-old move?
They're
Without
slow.
assistance? If they're without assistance, they're very, very slow, very calculated, because if they fall,
Yes.
they could break.
Mhm.
It's gosh, my grandmother is, how old is she now? Born in 1940. That would make her 84, and she is with a walker. I couldn't imagine, like, I have to, when she comes in my house, there's like this small step as you go into the door. I have to like hold her hand and make sure,
Yes.
because she's gonna trip. I had a baby gate and she like totally tripped, and like I had to catch her as she was falling. It's just, I couldn't imagine. But beside the point, not only did she not supervise her son with them, but Mikaela reported to several doctors that her grandmother was drugging her with massive doses of Benadryl. I wonder what massive would mean. To help her sleep. This began the nightmare that ended with Michaela's death by hanging. So Butler County, Missouri Judge John Schock acknowledged that Bernice Haynes did not properly supervise the convicted child, but gave the children to Haynes anyway, despite multiple therapists and children's division reports saying Bernice Haynes' house was not safe for the girls. There's a highlighted portion here in this article. It says the issue before this court is a temporary custody of the party's two minor children. Bernice Haynes testified that she's willing and able to care for the minor children. After all other evidence was presented, the guardian ad litem testified that even though she has concerns about Bernice Haynes' failure to fully supervise father's visit in the past, her recommendation is that the minor children be placed with Bernice Haynes. The guardian ad litem stated that the placement of the children with their grandmother is in their best interest at the time. If I was a judge, I'd be like,
that's my question. Like, okay.
You can't just say that. Why do you think it's in their best interest? Explain it to me like I'm 5. Could you just take me through your logical thought process? I have to know. What are we doing? The court finds, literally, so you read that, and we have opinions. The court finds that on a temporary basis, the minor children's best interests are served by residing with the intervener. All 3 parties will share joint legal custody of the minor children, with intervener being the ultimate decision maker for the minor children, and will make all decisions concerning the children's school, I'm getting like upset reading
I
this
know.
all over again. Like I'm ready. Sorry for banging on the desk. The court further finds it in the best interest that they will visit with mother every weekend from Friday at 6 to Sunday at noon. Father's visitation will be supervised every Sunday from 1 to 6, but he lives with mom. Who's supervising anybody? Intervener to provide supervise. Get out of here with that. So that was what Judge Schock wrote in December of 2016. Williams wrote in an email, Williams being the guardian ad litem, that none of the allegations were hotlineable. Hotlineable, I'm assuming meaning like mandatory reporting. Megan Fox wrote, Williams recommended removal of the girls from the mother's custody because she had concerns about educational neglect, influence, and manipulation. Those are just three buzzwords that people throw out there. I'd have been like, okay, so just yesterday in court, I was like, Your Honor, I know we're not at an evidentiary hearing. I know what those children said, but I have severe concerns that the children have been manipulated by being in the sole custody of one parent who very clearly has tried to weaponize the legal system to try to gain the upper hand in this litigation. And I think that those statements should be given far greater scrutiny than with a random family law mediator, to which the judge said, yeah, but she said the children said things about both parents, so I can't believe her as to one and not the other. Which I thought that was fair, but that was, I could respect that if the judge said that, but this judge was like, all right, fine.
Accepts it.
Yeah. And get this. So educational neglect, influence, and manipulation, but admitted that none of her concerns were hotlineable, meaning that nothing she was concerned about was a legitimate or lawful reason to take children from the care of the mother. She also accused the rape victim, Melissa, of manipulation in a shocking display of victim blaming to a crime that the guy pled guilty to. Randolph denies all of those allegations and pointed out that if any of those things had occurred, Williams could have made a hotline call to report the alleged abuse. I hate when people say those kinds of things. You could have called the cops. You could have called the hotline. You could have called your mom. So you've been living with abuse for the last 4 years, and the first we're hearing about it is 4 years later. Now all of a sudden you're so afraid because of this alleged pattern of abuse. You were so afraid of this guy that you slept in the same bed with him for the last however many years, which sometimes is a valid argument, but there's also some times where people are legitimate victims of abuse that fall trapped into this cycle where they get some form of Munchausen syndrome, and they're stuck where they're at, and they're enduring this abuse without ability internally to combat it with some kind of reporting. By the way, so PJ Media is in possession of multiple Missouri Department of Social Services reports that affirm that Randolph's home was safe. There are no concerns with Randolph or in her home, and there hasn't been proof of any since the beginning of the case. After Mikaela was put into the custody of the 90-year-old who gave Chuck Haynes full and unfettered access to his teen daughter, Mikaela's mental state deteriorated to such a degree that she was cutting herself and was admitted into a mental hospital where she was drugged with a medication, Remeron, that has a listed side effect of when Randolph objected to the use of that drug, the doctors turned on her, sort of like they did in the case for Maya Kowalski, and reported that she was uncooperative and banned her from the hospital so they could unfettered drug her with this drug. I went there every day that I could, said Randolph. They wanted to give her a medication to help her sleep and wanted me to sign it. Randolph refused after seeing the scary side effect. They never let me back in the hospital to see her after that. Mikaela was put into foster care. After her 9-day stay at the hospital, the doctor would not allow Mikaela to go back to Bernice Haynes because he believed she was suffering abuse there. Based on what? Refusal or the request to not give her that medication? I don't know. There's got to be something more than that. I have to believe there is.
No, but I think she's the doctor was referring to the paternal grandmother.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It does say that specifically. But for some reason, he also decided she couldn't go back home with Randolph despite the absence of any evidence of abuse in her home and repeated requests by Mikaela to go back to her mother. In 2017, the state returned the girls to Randolph's home. The children's therapist reported that the girls were doing very well back home. The grades were good. Mental state was improved. They were thriving. They were happy. On December 15th of 2017, Dr. Jerry Marks wrote, Mikaela has achieved an honorable mention on the honor roll this past term, and Sarah is on the honor roll this term. Both girls talk about feeling happy to be back with their mother and are having a hard time understanding the reason they were placed in foster care in the first place. Despite how well they were doing, Williams continued to try and reunify them with child Charles Haynes. He was on trial for raping Melissa at the time. Dr. Marks accused Williams of witness tampering and professional misconduct. Marks wrote on March 20th, 2018, I have to be on the record saying that I think what has happened in the last 2 months with Mikaela and the guardian ad litem is a form of witness tampering. After Williams was continually showing up at Mikaela's school with gifts from her father and grandmother, have you ever seen even like anybody in that kind of position do something like that?
Never. Like all this time, I'm thinking she's his lawyer. But all her
Showing up with
actions,
gifts from the stepdad is basically that's a form of communication. She's
is.
acting as an intermediary, which has
Mhm.
never been a legally permissible communication from anybody involving children. Bizarre. So Marks has repeatedly warned Williams and the court that any contact, including gift giving, should not be allowed under any circumstances. As a result of this continued pressure from the Haynes duo, facilitated by Williams, Randolph reported that Mikaela became very ill with stress disorders. Michaela's 14. I think she might have been like 12, 13 at the time. Marks submitted affidavit after affidavit begging the court to stop allowing the Haynes family access to the girls. No one listened. Marks also wrote that he believed that Charles Haynes had molested Mikaela. I think that too. Why else would she be so anxious to go back there? Think about a case that we just did recently of that young girl that was unalived by mom's boyfriend. We just did it a couple of months ago. I forget her name. Soto.
Yes.
Soto. That little girl was 12 years old. So I believe that Mikaela is also a victim of the father, but she's unwilling to disclose to me because of what she has been through, and she has watched what her sister has been through with the court process. If she does disclose to me that she has been sexually abused, I am a mandated reporter and will be required to call the Division of Social Services. This will trigger further issues with the case, Marks wrote. So Mikaela did disclose sexual abuse to her foster mother, but knew not to speak to a mandated reporter because in her experience, reporting abuse to the experts only gets the abused child into more pain and suffering. After Mikaela's suicide, Dr. Marks submitted another letter to the Attorney General of Missouri trying to get law enforcement to do something about it. Williams and her repeated violations. Letter said, it is my understanding that the guardian ad litem, who was appointed to the cases of both Sarah and Mikaela, testified at trial on behalf of Mr. Haynes. This testimony, if it occurred, is, in my opinion, more than just a conflict of interest and may rise to the level of professional misconduct. I would say that it may rise to the level of criminal conduct. And may have been the cause of Mikaela's death by suicide. The Attorney General did nothing. There has been no official investigation into the conduct of guardian ad litem Jennifer Williams, the judge, or the other attorneys involved in the case who facilitated a child rapist's repeated access to the children. Michaela Haynes loved sign language and was studying diligently to become fluent for part of Michaela's homeschool curriculum. Michaela studied and loved ASL, American Sign Language. She spent hours watching YouTube videos and practicing it. There was a deaf elderly couple that she went a few times to see and practice it live. She loved her sisters and cooking. In her suicide note, she wrote, none of this was or is your fault. I want you to keep being you. Don't let this affect you in a negative way. I love you with my whole heart. I can't keep doing this anymore. Thank you, Mom, for making my life on this flat earth as easy as possible and always doing the best for me. You don't know how sorry I am. PJ Media attempted to contact Jennifer Williams, of course, no avail. She did not respond. She didn't, however, withdraw from the case on April 27th. But that is not the end of the story. There's a number of different other subsequent articles written by Megan Fox. I just wanted to give everybody the backstory. So a lot of you are going to be wondering, what is the consequences? How can we do anything about this? There's actually an attorney taking up the case, Avita Tolu. She's bringing forth a wrongful death lawsuit against multiple folks that have been involved in the case, and she's going to tell us all about it. If you guys would allow me to welcome to the stage the honorable, the venerable, the leader of the charge in this injustice, this grave injustice, Avita Tolu. Avita, how are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. And thank you for giving attention to this case because no one else talks about it, but it affects children all over the United States. And something like this should be on every media outlet, but it has been shoved under the rug because we don't feel comfortable talking how our system and legal professionals abuse voiceless children.
I mean, I feel here's how I feel. Missouri, I know nothing about Missouri other than the one time I drove through there on my way back home from Ohio. But in these small legal communities, and sometimes like you go to like these, are you getting an echo, Dominic? What happened? I don't know what happened. But sometimes in these small legal communities, I have noticed, even in California, that they form like this network of small town lawyers and they essentially act with their own rules. But I gotta say, myself and Ileani saw our reaction to all of this. None of this resembles any kind of practice that we've ever engaged in. What's actually going on over there in Missouri?
Oh my God. And I have to be very careful because every time I speak up, I get a bar complaint and they're trying to silence me and take
No, I don't
away
want to
my
get you in trouble for
license.
anything. Yeah.
But basically, what we have here in Missouri is complete absence of accountability for guardians ad litem. No one, a parent or a child, cannot go and complain about a guardian to anyone. No one will listen. You cannot go to the bar and file a formal complaint. The bar will send you a standard 3-line letter saying we do not have jurisdiction over the guardians ad litem. No one has jurisdiction over the guardian ad litem. So they've been roaming by themselves for, I don't know, at least 25 years and created a very lucrative money extortion scheme where they use children as a tool to extract money from the parents through excessive litigation.
So
And
I've
this
come
is
to
what's
find
going
out,
on in
speaking of that point, I've come to learn through Megan Fox and her articles that these guardian ad litems would have a caseload of not just caseload, but trials that they were doing per month of like 90 plus.
Yes, that's actually happened in my own custody case. That's how I'm an immigration attorney, so I have never been in family court. And I discovered all of this coming from the federal bench into the state court, thinking that there is a rule of law. So I did not anticipate that I would be swindled. Well, of course, of the custody of my children and their all my savings. So the guardian ad litem appointed to my personal case, she had between 80 and 90 hearings. A month, every 3 months. And at one point we did accounting, she collected 295,000 from those hearings. And in
$95,000.
my personal case, my case was set for trial two times, and she did not show up for trial because she was gone and hopping other cases in the courthouse. And so after sitting there for 5 hours waiting for her, the judge just canceled the trial.
Just canceled it? Like,
Say it again?
not even a continuous, just like, all right, well, she's not going to show up, so we're canceling
Well,
this.
yeah, they continued it. And that's what's been going on. Parents do not get trials, they get continuance, and that gives guardians ad litem opportunity to create more drama between the parents, basically entice parents against each other. And they will run the case as long as the parents have money to pay.
Avita, how did you get involved with this case? Like, what caught your attention to take this to take on this task?
Okay, so it was once I experienced the family court myself firsthand, and I saw what was going on there, I understood acutely. And I'm a very sophisticated litigant. You know, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I got screwed, and I got diagnosed with crazy disorders, and I've been paying guardians and the lawyers and the system, and nothing was happening. I was screaming please help my children. And they shut me up. So I was very upset, and I started looking into this guardian ad litem that I have, and I discovered that this is what she does. And there is a club in Missouri of the guardians ad litem. Basically, you can, if you're a good guardian ad litem who cares about best interest of the children, you are not appointed on the case. You have to be part of the clique to be a guardian ad litem. And the clique only works to extract money from the parents and prolong the case until all the money is gone. And so Megan and I, we were at the conference. Megan first got involved in my case. She saw a video of 40, I think it was 40 guardians ad litem. They were trying, I sued the guardian in my case because she's done horrific things. Not as bad as Williams, but still very unethical. And so I sued them. And we, those guardians had a secret meeting, which somebody recorded on Zoom and put on YouTube. And in that video, they discussed how they're going to kill my lawsuit and destroy me.
Yeah, could you talk about that? Because it was like a struggle just to even be able to get the guardian ad litem in this case to even have to testify at trial because of like this immunity thing. And then it wasn't until like 2023 that there was finally a ruling that, yeah, Jennifer Williams, she's going to have to face a jury in a trial for this case. But that took a long time to even get the court to get there. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So currently we are suing Jennifer Williams in the federal court for wrongful death. And of course, the first round of motions to dismiss was that she is immune from liability because she has quasi-judicial immunity being a guardian ad litem.
Which is nonsense.
Well, nonsense or not, we had 4 counts, but the judge sliced all of them and left only one, finding that tampering with the witness, who's an abused child, was not within the duties of the guardian ad litem to be protected by quasi-judicial immunity. And that is the issue we are currently going on to trial. But during discovery, we learned that Jennifer Williams was never a guardian ad litem.
Oh, that's right. She was never even licensed. She was not licensed.
That is, I still have a certificate, a single certificate from the years she was tampering with little children who were trying to stay safe. And so that's another issue for the attorneys who represent Jennifer Williams, but we don't have certificates. And as of right now, I filed motion for attorney fees and we'll be filing further motions. But yes, we did proceed. We did cut through the immunity on one narrow issue: threats to minor children who are willing and ready to expose and testify about sexual abuse.
Just seems like such an awful lot to get the bare minimum to get her to stand trial for these allegations. To jump through that number of hoops, she wasn't even licensed when she was doing it. So
she was licensed as a Missouri attorney, but she never took the required classes mandated by the Missouri Bar and the Missouri Supreme Court rules. So when she was appointed, she did not have training. She got training 20 days later. And then the training was recorded in her 2015 CLA year. And from that point, she never trained. She never took follow-up maintenance classes to be a guardian ad litem. Like in Missouri, you have to take 3 hours each year to maintain your certification as a guardian ad litem. She never did that. I do not have a single piece of paper showing that she took a class that was accredited by the Missouri Bar or the judge in the case where she was threatening Mikaela. But he said, whatever you took, women in legal profession or basket weaving, whatever you reported on your CLE, I accept it as a guardian ad litem. class. She took some classes, but they were bizarre, like women in legal career and, one of those Vogue classes, but there
Well,
was a plethora of those, but none about representing the best interest of the child. And she even taught other guardians how to be a guardian ad litem.
correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I've been an attorney for a really long time. I mean, not a really long time, but long enough to know that that seems to me like it's prima facie professional malpractice, maybe
It
even
is.
criminal charges if you're putting yourself into a position to represent children without the proper licensing, certificates, certifications, whatever it is. And she's acting in that capacity, not disclosing it or maybe fraudulently misrepresenting it. And then something like this happens. It seems like that should be prosecuted. Am I wrong? Am I missing something? I
Yes,
don't
in
know,
the
Eliana.
ideal world, maybe in California, but not in Missouri, where there is no body that regulates guardian ad litem. Supreme Court says, no, it's not us. The Missouri bar says, it's not us. And you cannot go to a judge who just wrote in that docket memo that the guardian ad litem testified, and based on the guardian ad litem recommendation, Mikaela should be placed with her 90-year-old, senile grandmother. Where do you go as a parent or as a child? Michaela told everyone that Jennifer Williams was her dad's lawyer. And in the wrongful death, we got his jail phone calls where he talks to his sister that Williams is on his payroll.
Can we talk about that? So, you and I had talked before you came on the show. Um, and I asked you, like, okay, so the guy was convicted and he pled guilty to a crime of sexual assault of the sibling. How was it even within the court's purview to even have the wherewithal to place him with stepfather? And then you were explaining something about he had filed a petition, or his lawyer had filed a petition on his behalf to try to get him some parenting time. Is that what it was?
Yes, yes. Oh, I got involved in Cindy's divorce at the end. Like as soon as I entered the case, Jennifer Williams got off the case, and I was trying to divorce her. So there is one more child, Sarah. He wanted Sarah's custody while sitting in jail.
Mm.
He wanted custody. I filed 2 motions for summary judgment saying, Judge, I have 2 statutes that says it's not possible. So on the second motion for summary judgment the judge said, okay, no, you're not entitled. Here is the statute. Then he came back and said, okay, I want now supervised visitation. I'm like, do you want the child to be delivered to you to jail so you can masturbate? If you want a conjugal visit? I
Did
mean,
you use that
those are
word
the
in
words
court?
I
I
told
hope
to
you
the
did.
court. We had a
I mean,
1-day trial, whether he should have phone visits. And I had, I don't know, 7 witnesses who said he can still groom her by phone. Who's going to supervise him from jail?
Evita,
So,
you're telling me this stuff, and of course, it makes perfect logical sense. But this is the nonsensical argument you would have to make if you actually had to litigate this. I'm just curious about how this issue was even ripe for a discussion in open court. Because in California, like, he's in jail. All right, well, summary judgment granted. Obviously, if it was just a consideration, even if he was out, okay, he was recently convicted of sexually assaulting the sibling. Yeah, well, obviously, we're not gonna give him
since
anything.
his lawyer demanded it, he demanded custody trial, and we had visitation trial, and we wasted 1 day of trial time. It started at 9, it ended at 7, and that was like witness after witness after witness saying you cannot give a convicted pedophile ability to groom a child by phone from jail.
Jesus Christ. Eliana, I'm going to ask you a serious question. How much money, how big of a retainer would you have to be paid to take on this case of Charles Haynes and his request to gain custody of the children under those grounds? Oh, sorry.
Well, does the question include if I'm willing to take the case? Because
Yeah, you can just reject it. There's no amount of money. I don't feel that
I don't feel comfortable taking a case like that. But I mean, if I felt comfortable, it will have to be probably in the more than 50,000, because it would just.
I can't picture a scenario where I would ever even bring a petition because I'd feel professionally embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's.
Like, what kind of absurd argument I'm going to make to the judge? Your Honor, he needs custody because because the strength of the father-daughter bond is incalculable, and we must not erode that. And there's some stupid argument, like Evita was said. What does he want custody for? Because he wants to groom her? Because he's trying to masturbate while he's grooming her? Evita's making these arguments in court. That's literally like the discussion you're having, because it's so absurd, the request that has been making. I don't know, Evita. I can't wrap my
Welcome
head.
to Missouri. We have a lot of those here.
I'm like horrified.
My personal opinion is it's all of this crap, garbage, exploitation is to take money from the parents. And lawyers on both sides are willing participants, and the judges, they either overworked and too busy, or they close their eyes and pretend it's not happening.
So how much money?
But the judge who set over Cindy's divorce, he knew about the two statutes. He granted custody prior to, but we still did the visitation, although it says no custody, no visitation in the same statute that he decided. So I don't know.
Under what authority does he ignore the statutes? Under what authority did he cite when he ignored the statutes?
Well, he cited the statute eventually in the decision once it came, but he said it's a litigated issue. We're gonna table it and we're gonna address it at trial. And he did. What do I do? He told me we're gonna litigate it, so we litigated it. We wasted time and resources that mother did not have.
But temporarily, he's granting custody to Mr. Haynes?
Well, right now, custody after the trial and after all the witnesses came, custody of Sarah is with mother. This is done and over with. The two statutes are being fully enforced. So this is it. And the judge said no contact, because every single professional, mental health professional, said the remaining child should not have any contact.
Yeah, no kidding. Who would have thought? I mean,
exactly. In what universe? Yes.
Does any of this wrongful death lawsuit involve the judge who greenlighted these orders?
No, because judges are absolutely immune from any misconduct. And that order that he issued says that the judge relied on the guardian ad litem testimony, and she testified. So it was a very clever order written by the judge to pretty much protect himself. No, you cannot sue judges in Missouri. It's a dead cause. And you cannot sue guardians in Missouri. The circumstances of our case are so egregious. That's how we bypass the immunity argument.
I just feel like I have logical thoughts, but I just feel like it's just so fresh, because even if he's relying on the guardian ad litem, it's incorrect law. Like it's a legally incorrect decision to place a child or recommend that a child be placed in the presence of a known sex offender, being supervised by a 90-year-old. Even if you take into account discretion with best interests of the child, there's not a reasonable person that would use their discretion to suggest they're better off with 90-year-old mom and her a sex offender son. It's just beyond logic. I don't understand it.
Well, you are one of the very few who thinks logically and with the aim at protecting children's best interest. What I encountered dealing with Missouri and Missouri lawyers has nothing to do with the children's interest. It's about how much money we can get from the parents. And if we need to traffic children so the parents can fight, then we will do it.
So is there any, well, in one of Megan Fox's articles, it mentioned that there was a decision being that we're waiting from the 8th Circuit of Appeals against Judge Eric Egme.
Yes. Yes.
What's going
The
on with
court
that?
found that he was not immune for one violation of putting 2 kids in jail, because at the time he jailed them, he was out of the courtroom. He took off his robe. They were sitting outside, and that's when he ordered them to be in prison. And it's a very narrow immunity. It doesn't help many people because, I mean, where do you get a set of facts like this? But at least in Mikaela's case, we're moving steadily, saying, when you do violate criminal law as a guardian ad litem, you will not be immune, because witness tampering is criminal law violation.
Yeah. So that was the workaround for him. In case any of you guys are wondering, there is a video of deposition testimony taken by Charles Haynes, and there's
Yeah,
this very.
I deposed this
What-
evil man.
Was this you in the deposition?
Yes, it was me.
Do you mind if I play it? I think that people should see.
Please be my guest.
All right, I'm going to put this on screen. Let me just make sure I share it properly. This was here. I want everybody to see. This is the guy that we're talking about that Mikaela was so afraid of. Here, let me get rid of that. And
then I'll tell you guys more about this guy.
Yes, please.
Because in the wrongful death suit, Williams pretty much subpoenaed all his records, all his phone calls, and we know he wants to kill the victim, he wants to kill the mother, and now he wants to kill me.
Haynes?
Yeah, and he talks about it. And he stole 200 guns from his ex-wife. And we know where he put the guns, with whom. There are lawyers involved. We gave it all to FBI, sheriff, ATF, Missouri Highway Patrol, and no one is doing anything. And basically, what I was told, once you have a bullet, Evita, then we will investigate. Until then, you're on your own, protect yourself.
So there's this 32-minute clip on YouTube of his deposition. It's of you, Evita, deposing him. I'm going to play a small portion of it just to view his body language when he is talking about Mikaela. I think it's very telling. I'm going to play for. Am I up? Is it up on screen, Dominic? Could you see it? Okay, let's play it right now.
What the problem was? It was granted, and then it was extended and extended again. It was for several years, and you don't remember.
I don't even know when it went till.
Okay. Do you ever get angry, Mr. Haynes?
Sometimes, yes.
And what do you do?
Mainly just cuss.
Did you ever cuss at your children, at the girls?
I have used profanity around the girls, sure.
What words would you please share?
Just run-of-the-mill language, bad language, but I have since I have since quit that, and I don't curse anymore.
Jennifer Williams, did you know her before she got appointed as a guardian for your girls?
No.
Who introduced you to Jennifer?
Who introduced me to her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was interesting. So this is the woman that they're talking about, Jennifer Williams. She's supposed to be the child's advocate and ends up testifying for this guy that, yeah, he needs.
This is a body language expert on YouTube talking. That's the voice in the background. But yeah, he's talking here about how he met Jennifer Williams. That's the lady that we've been talking about, the guardian ad litem that had I could only imagine an inappropriate relationship. It just makes no sense otherwise. But
To
wanted
have
to
some
see your
contact with
thoughts.
his children because he's a dumb retard. He's a lot of help. She brings up Jennifer Williams. The biggest movement we see so far of him in his Heidi mode. Now he's got to stretch out and go scratch himself. It's like, oh, okay. That's a really big movement. It's not a movement of stress in a sense. People don't generally do that other than to give an excuse to stretch muscles because it's been so tight. It's an opportunity of distraction. It's like, okay, so why are we distracting? And then she's asking him if he was ever introduced, who introduced, the kind of like the beginnings of this relationship. And we don't go to the part of the brain that says, oh, I have a memory there. An emotional memory, a visual memory, a doing memory, those kind of things would be normal. Who introduced you? Oh, and go there. But he's gating his response. His eye movements literally are saying, I have to temper this response with whatever BS comes out of his mouth. And since we know his tactic is to stall and do noises to fill the void so he doesn't seem like he's avoiding the question, he's coming up with a lie.
In the courthouse, I guess I met her in the courthouse.
In the courthouse. I guess I met her in the courthouse. It would.
Hey, Evita, what is your opinion about what is your opinion about him and Williams that because obviously we're not going to be able to prove some kind of improper relationship with them. But what do you think is going on there?
My personal opinion is there was a relationship between Mr. Haynes and Williams. That is my opinion. And and I also know that there is money involved because he acknowledged it in his jail phone call saying that she is on his payroll.
She's on his
Although
payroll.
she shouldn't be on the court's payroll because in Missouri, it's the court that approves the guardian ad litem fees. And actually, the court in the custody case initially ordered parents to pay the fee, and then Williams, for 4 years she was on the case, she never asked for money as a guardian ad litem. So you're a guardian ad litem for 4 years. You go to child school all the time, delivering gifts and threatening. You call the hospital therapist, you attend different meetings, you never send the bill. Why are you involved in this case? What is the motivation? So it's either they're involved romantically or financially or both. That's my opinion.
So you're
That's
saying
the
that
reasonable person standard.
she never collected money for this case or asked or petitioned the court for her fees in her guardian ad litem capacity?
When she was appointed initially in 2016, the judge ordered to pay both parents $750, and that was it. But in Missouri, as a guardian, you ask for money through the case, and then you petition motion for attorney fees. Then there is a hearing, and then the judge says, let's pay Jennifer Williams such and such. Well, that never happened in this case. 4 years she's been threatening Mikaela, and she never asked for money from the court. And then the audio recording jail says, give me Jennifer's email. Is she still on our payroll? Is she still there? Are we paying for her? I mean, I have this email and I have a recording. So he's paying her under the table.
We just don't know how much.
I just don't know how much. Yes.
Now that fact that the guardian ad litems are paid and some of that is funded by the parents, hasn't that also been used to chill any kind of complaints against the courts or guardian ad litems taking them into these trials because of the financial strain that the parents would have to be forced into paying that they really couldn't get out of?
It's a servitude, and that's why the first meeting with the guardian ad litem in Missouri is about your finances. When I met with the guardian ad litem in my case, we spent, I don't know, the whole hour talking about my money. And I'm like, well, money is not an issue for me. But now I understand why she talked about my money. She was gauging for how long I will be able to pay. And for how long they can, extract money from both parents. But that's what it's all about. Nothing to do with the children's best interest. That is not even on the agenda. They call themselves Cash for Kids, LLC.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So these guardian ad litems are charged with the best interests of the children. Eliana, how many trials do you do a month? Oh, I'm sorry. I got you muted. Say it again.
Lately, about 2 or 3 a month.
2 or 3,
Yeah.
if that, right?
Mhm.
And how long does it take you to prepare for these trials?
Oh, hours, sometimes days, depending on the issues.
And how long are the trials typically last?
Shortest one, it's usually 4 hours. Longest one,
4 hours, an
3
afternoon,
or 4 days.
3 to 4 days over
Depending.
many months.
Mhm.
So these guardian ad litems are involving themselves in like 90 plus cases per month. 30 days a month. You're talking about 3 trials a day if you're going 7 days a week.
Mhm.
Evita, what do you know about how these trials are litigated? How is that even possible?
This is what happens during those trials. You come in front of the judge calls the guardian ad litem. The guardian ad litem tells them how it's going to be. The judge records it, you're done. No one cares.
Hmm.
No
So
one cares about the
Mhm.
best interest of the children. No, the parents will not be allowed to testify. And only the parent who is in cahoots with the guardian will be able to testify. And it's going to be one-sided testimony. And Missouri judges rely 100% on the guardians, although the statute says the judge does not have to accept the guardian's recommendation, but reality is otherwise.
Could I give
So,
well, let
and
me
that's
give you a
how
hypothetical.
they can have 90 trials a month and hearings. And that's how they can make 300,000 of those parents by doing this.
Let's say that I'm
And that's why we
representing
have dead and mutilated children in Missouri.
Yeah, so let's say that I'm representing Michaela Haynes' mother, and I want to challenge guardian ad litem's recommendation, and I want to cross-examine the guardian ad litem, and I want to introduce expert witnesses to oppose her recommendations. Would I be afforded that opportunity at a trial?
This is
without
what
her just
happened
being able to
actually,
give a
because
statement and
I
then
was
speaking?
Michaela's mother's attorney, and we were
Hmm.
still fighting over custody of Sarah, who he wanted in jail so he can
Right.
masturbate. And it was a real battle to present the witnesses. And I had Michaela's foster mom who came to testify that Michaela was raped, and he did not allow me to present her testimony.
But
He
under what
basically did
grounds? How
not
is that?
allow it.
Isn't that highly relevant? Like one of the most relevant issues in that case?
Yes,
So what was
yes.
the legal logic to
But
disallow
there
me?
was no legal logic. He told me I cannot question him, and I was threatened with contempt.
Man,
And at that point, I made an offer of proof. But there were other people and testimony that I wanted to introduce, and I was not allowed to. And he did not allow me to make an offer of proof on other issues. I was not even allowed.
I'm literally speechless. I'm like, okay, so what's the next legal move? Like, okay, if that doesn't work, now I got
There is no
nothing, man.
legal move. And when I basically said, Judge, why aren't you following the Missouri Divorce Act? Tell me why you're not applying it. What is behind your reasoning? He did not give me the reasoning.
God.
And he said, strike from the record, strike from the record. That was his words. My question was stricken from the record.
They wow. Liana, what do you think about that, man? What do you do? What would you do? It's like, I guess you're gonna have to contempt me, Your Honor, because
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
oh.
I'm going straight to contempt.
But I mean, that's a hell of a thing too, because they're gonna throw you in jail for the weekend or something. And I mean, I don't know.
Well, and then okay, this divorce was going on for 9 years. I had to give up some things.
Yeah.
And I know I cannot be thrown in jail in that county because they will kill me there.
So they're basically
So those were my
intimidating.
choices.
Yeah.
And we know from the Haynes, the pedophile himself, he's talking on the jail phone calls that sheriff is gonna whip that Russian communist. She should be whipped. She should be punished. That's me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. So
So
right now,
it's like I'd rather give up on judges' orders. I want to keep going. I just want to break this. I want the divorce. It's just like I don't want to give them another 9 months, 9 years, because this guy, he has unlimited amount of money. He can
Yeah.
play the game for another 9 years. It's my client, the mother of these children, who is dying financially, emotionally, physically, and she needs to be released from this heinous, circle.
what is the source of this guy's money? Is he funding this himself? Is he getting help?
No, he is. It's from his mother, the enabler.
That's what I thought.
Old money, inheritance.
Well, he stands to inherit quite a bit. I mean, she's right on the edge there.
Oh, she is run, but she is loaded with money because they are very litigious and
Yeah.
they have unlimited resources and they have strong connections in the county. And so that's why he has been winning. And he did not even get the full extent of the punishment in that county for Michaela's sister. They were
Yeah, so-
very gentle with him.
What was his plea deal?
He pled guilty to deviant child sodomy, and he sodomized Melissa for 2 years. But he pled guilty only to one act of sodomy, where we had DNA, where Melissa took them to a place where he basically her, and they recovered DNA. It was a mixture of saliva and his semen combined, and that was on one act of sodomy. That was what he pled guilty to. Not
How
the
much
2
time?
years that he's done it.
He pled to 2 years? 2 years in prison?
He arrested Melissa for 2 years, but he pled guilty to 7-year sentence. He was released after 5 years for good behavior, knowing
He's out.
that he stole 200 firearms and discussing killing the victim, Melissa, and mother. As soon as he's out of jail, he said, "I'm going to kill all of them," and the Russian lawyer.
So usually when you're convicted of something like that, for example, in California, and there would be an automatic criminal order of protection for the victims, and there would be a number of them that would extend to close members of the family, and it would require the person charged with that order to give up their firearms. So that's not the case in Missouri?
Well, that's the law, but he stole firearms from his wife. They're all registered in her names. The divorce court gave it to her. He stole them. And he gave them to a friend, and they're discussing it on jail phone calls. And he is discussing how he's going to kill all of us as soon as he's out. And
Is he on
all these
probation right now?
recordings I gave to law enforcement.
Is he on any
no one
measure of
cares.
probation? As a
A
result of his
probation
plea, or is
officer
he-
has the phone calls.
Yeah. Well,
There is no law in Missouri. It only exists on paper. It's not enforced. They are
I don't know.
protecting felons. They're not protecting the children and the victims.
I was gonna say, I mean, if I heard this as a young attorney or a young law school student, I wouldn't want to be an attorney no more, man. It's like, you know what? I got better things to do. If it's all gonna be just for nothing anyway, and nobody's gonna follow the rules, then what am I doing? You got to be in this club. You don't got admission at the club.
I'm with
and
you
don't
in
got
your
justice.
club, Omar. I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I got completely disgusted by the legal system.
Yeah.
And I mean, seeing how children are trafficked through the court for
And that's really
sexual,
what it is.
yeah, it's sickening to me. As a parent, as a lawyer, as a human being, I'm disgusted by those people in black robes and lawyers who gave the oath to protect and not harm.
So if the court is brazen enough to endorse this ludicrous order for Mikaela under the circumstances that we've discussed, imagine how long this has been going on for unfettered, left unchecked, because there's a reason why they're acting this way and making these orders, because they know that they're not going to get in trouble for it. It's taking you
Right.
this long to even get to this stage of the litigation where we're working up to a trial and we're trying to do some things, but it took you years to even get Jennifer Williams to get around the immunity laws to where she's going to have to stand and face a jury in this case. It's just I can't imagine has any other victims reached out to you to try to join
Yes.
into this lawsuit?
Well, they cannot join in
I mean,
because
not this
as
lawsuit, but like to tell their story, maybe bring their own separate lawsuits.
I mean, I have victims from Missouri writing to me daily. Please take my case daily. But I can only survive one. I have up until recently, I was fighting against 2 insurance law firms, and there are 5 lawyers and 3 paralegals on the case, and all they do is they try to drain me emotionally and financially. So I can only do one client at a time. But yes, there are raped children, there are physically abused children. All of this exists in Missouri, all of it. There are
Are there
lawsuits
any?
can be filed
Are
every
there?
day.
Is there any other attorneys local in Missouri that are willing to help, that have reached out to try to offer their help to try to join you in
No,
this cause?
because
Well,
you are fighting a Goliath,
mm,
and no one wants to fight a Goliath. I'm really an outcast.
this is the kind of case that they make movies about. This is like some
Yeah.
Aaron Brockovich stuff, like,
Yes.
I mean, this is
Yes,
the kind
I
of case
am.
where
In a way, Aaron Brockovich of mutilated Missouri children, and no one cares about them. And they call me a conspiracy theorist.
well, it's not. It's this public record. It's not a conspiracy. This is stuff that's happened. We're not making this up. This is
Or they're saying that I'm
documented.
spinning it. I'm
Yeah.
spinning it. Although 7 other therapists spin it the same way too. They're also conspiracy theorists. I mean, it's all about money, nothing to do with the children, and zero accountability. Guess what? The Missouri bar, they did not investigate Jennifer Williams. They
Still,
filed a complaint. She got a 3-line letter.
I've seen attorneys investigated for much less.
Yes.
I know, we have a dead child. Come on.
Oh,
And a
boy.
guardian ad litem who is not a guardian ad litem on a payroll of a convicted felon.
Avita, it's very seldom that I'm without words. I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's not a solution, an obvious solution to any of this. Like, they've taken away the lawyer playbook. What we're dealing with is just an extreme. I think that you put it correctly. This is a this is sex trafficking of children that has been legalized, it seems, in the state of Missouri, because I can't imagine that Mikaela is the only case like this. If they're willing to
No, she's
ignore
not.
a convicted rapist and just say, yeah, sure, go hang out with him and his mom, his 90-year-old mom, and she will supervise and make sure everything's above board. How many
Yeah.
other children have suffered those atrocities? I mean, we get pissed off in
Thousands.
California at our cases
Mhm.
because we think they've gone sideways, but I look at a place comparing this to Missouri, and it's like, maybe it's not as
It's
bad
not
as it
too bad.
seems. At least they have some kind of common sense, at least obvious common sense. But in this case, it's nothing. It's literally, if you were to tell me that there was some satanic cult lingering in the Missouri judicial system, I wouldn't dismiss it. The way that it's being litigated and the way that these people have been silenced, the way that Evita's had to fight to get even the bare minimum of a due process in this case. Evita, where are we when is their trial date set in this case yet?
Yes, currently the trial date is set for February of next year in the wrongful death. But like right now, I know of one case that is going the same way as Mikaela. We have a child who is being sent to father for molestation, and the child is disclosing consistently and begging for help, and the mother and the child are being silenced. And we have DFS finding that there was molestation of the child. So this is another Mikaela in the making. We are seeing it as it unfolds. But in the wrongful death, yes, it's going to be in February. But right now, we're fighting all sorts of procedural and
Yeah.
motions. So
They're trying to motion you out of this case to break your spirit through frivolous
yes,
motion.
yes. I mean, I've been haunted by them. I've been insulted. I've been threatened. And I got involved in a case to save Sarah so she would not go to jail for visitation. That was my initial move. And then once I learned what was actually going on, I was so appalled. I said, this has to end. We need, we tried to do Michaela's law. I went to Jefferson City. I met with legislators. No one is interested. No Missouri legislator is interested in helping Missouri children. So then I said, okay, we're going to bring the lawsuit so we can change the case law. And so we can open the window. And that's where we are.
So ultimately, through this lawsuit, I mean, the broad scope of, hope of what we're attempting to do is change the infrastructure from the inside through manipulating case law, not manipulating it, but transforming it to open the door for people to have some kind of relief against these. I mean, how could you put it any other way but evil system that is not designed for the best interest of the children? I mean, I can't
Cash
imagine.
for kids, that's how they call themselves, Cash for Kids. They're proud of it.
Yeah. Could you talk more about, okay, so there was like a whole Zoom meeting and they were like openly discussing a case and talking about things and people got in trouble. What happened with all of that?
Nothing. They were not punished. After that Zoom meeting, I got a bar complaint against me, although they were discussing how to kill my lawsuit, exposing all this Missouri court system cancer. And nothing happened. Nothing. And they're talking about the presiding judge of the entire county, how they're working with him to get rid of my lawsuit against this guardian ad litem, Elaine Podlowski, who has, 90 trials,
Yeah.
in 3 months, trafficking children through the court system. But none of them got punished. And the Missouri bar representative was present there and giving advice how to hide the money that they were collecting to destroy my lawsuit. Missouri bar, Office of the Chief Disciplinary Counsel.
How many bar complaints do you have pending against you right now as a result of this case?
As of right now, 0. As of right now.
How many have been brought total since you brought this litigation?
2.
2 bar complaints, and they've all been dismissed. So we're good there.
I got oral reprimands. So one time, I think I said something. I mean, it was just excuses. The second time, I actually sent a link on Facebook with Megan's article, and I got reprimanded for that. I learned that as an attorney, you do not have First Amendment rights. You cannot retweet or share a link on social media.
Oh, Jesus. Do you know about the Laura Owens case? You know about David Gingras?
No, I have been out because all I do is work on this case. I'm constantly slammed with motions from multiple lawyers and law firms. I know that Megan is reported on it. But yes, as a lawyer, I know in Missouri, you cannot open your mouth and raise your concerns or speak publicly. The moment you do it, you're going to be either reprimanded or you're going to be disbarred. That's my experience.
Funny you mentioned that, because there's literally a lawyer that we've all been talking about now for many weeks. His name is David Gingras. He's involved in this high profile case. And one of the questions all the lawyers down here are wondering is, how in the hell has this guy not been like reprimanded to the bar? Because all he does is like blog about his cases, share social media links with his on his cases. He's on Twitter, he's on YouTube, he's leaving comments, he's like insulting people, he's leaving mean tweets and reprimanding people, threatening people with defamation lawsuits, like every single day. So and we see that, and then we hear you talking about it. lawyers don't have First Amendment rights. It's like, well, they must have them in California because this guy is like going, overboard with it. And you have done whatever little bit that you've done and you've been reprimanded. That kind of speaks volumes about what's going on in Missouri. I can't talk in Missouri. I don't know anything about Missouri. I just know that I don't want to practice law there.
Well, my personal experience, I do not have First Amendment rights as a lawyer, as a officer of the court, and after the 2 meritless, stupid, insulting bar complaints, I stopped talking about it because I need to focus on changing the law in Missouri for the children instead of dealing with meritless bar complaints over me sending Megan's article through a link. I mean, I didn't say a word. I just forwarded the link and posted it in one of the forums. And I was reprimanded for that.
Can I ask you a question? Are you aware of anybody else involved in this litigation other than you has published online or in social media that has not been reprimanded the same way?
There are no lawyers in Missouri who are willing to step in and do anything about this case or any cases. They're all scared.
What
I'm
about
the
any
only one.
guardian ad litems? Like, do they have like a secret, like a online forum where they
Yes.
go and they're not reprimanded for any of that, huh?
Right. They're not reprimanded for anything. Look, there is no body that regulates them. The bar
Right.
does not regulate them. Supreme Court does not regulate them. The judge is with them. So where do you go? That's why we got what we got. That's why we got child trafficking. Because there is zero accountability and no one questions.
Oh boy. Avita, what if anything can we do to help? I want you to know this. Megan Fox is the one that turned me on to your case. And now that I'm turned on to it, I want to get your story out there. What, if anything, can I do, or Ileana do, or anybody do to help you in this litigation?
The best thing I think would be for us to go public, to raise awareness all over the United States, because I'm sure this case is not unique to Missouri. I'm sure things like this, and I do get parents from all over the United States, and they learned about me from my case when I initially exposed it. We just need to let parents know and make them aware that they will be exploited by unethical lawyers and careless judges. And they need to be very careful. It has to be an educational system. So lay people, parents, they question it and they protect their children because they're the best to protect their children. It's not going to be, I only met, there are some lawyers I talked to about Michaela's case who sympathize with me, but no one will go public and do anything about it because they know they will be disbarred.
Well, I don't got anything to do with Missouri, so I don't got no problem talking about any of this stuff. Hey, Ileana, I'm going to role play with you right now.
Oh my.
I want you to see how this is going to go in California. Hey, so I just wanted to come to you because I'm afraid that my convicted ex-husband he filed a petition to gain custody. How can you help me?
Who are you first?
I'm the mom.
Oh, okay. So you're the mom.
And they're saying that I am I'm somehow manipulating my daughter because I'm homeschooling her, and they want to get custody. And he was literally convicted of and I'm afraid that he's going to get custody of my child. Can you please help me?
Well, in California, of course, I will be super confident that that's not gonna
I say, listen, I don't do this very often, but I'm 100% sure you got nothing to worry about with that. So let's talk about the schooling stuff.
Yes.
That's literally where we would go.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I don't know, Evita. It's I don't have a problem talking about this stuff. I don't practice in Missouri. But I want to. It's a good thing that you are in federal court because I'm curious, what is Missouri, the bar association over there, what is their ability to affect federal legislation insofar as you're speaking about the case on a public level, on a federal case that necessarily involves jurisdictions outside of Missouri? Has
I
there
know
been
they're
anything
upset with
litigated
me.
as to that?
They don't want me to speak about anything.
Yeah.
They
And
don't
that's
want
fine.
it
They don't want to
to
get you in
get
trouble.
out.
We need to keep you in here until at least February of the trial next year. I don't want to get you in trouble by any means. I'm just curious
Well,
about what is their
you know
reach.
what? I want to speak about this case. I want people to know, because there is no other way we're gonna make a change in that state. I've been to everyone under the sun to get help and to change the system, or at least to get some accountability so parents feel confident. So my only route at this point is to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And if you get me in trouble, I don't care. Why do I want to have a license from the state that sanctions children to be killed, molested, and tortured? This is my realization at 24 years of practicing.
24 years. How old are you now, Avita? You've been practicing 24
I am
years.
56.
56. You've been practicing since you were 32. That's about when I started, when I was 32. I'm 43 now. I often say, Eliana, how many times have you heard me say that being a lawyer is really bad for the soul? If I was practicing in Missouri, it's like, you know what? F this. I'm out. I'm all the way out. I'm going to Thailand. I'm going to retire. I'm going to live off of the land. I'll plant some sugar cane, some coconuts or something. Do those grow in Thailand? I don't know. But I understand what Avita is saying when, do you have an exit plan for all of this? Like, you've been practicing 24 years. I understand that your appetite to practice in Missouri has diminished. Do you have any plans to go to other jurisdictions or?
Well, I'm licensed in California
Oh,
and I'm licensed in Illinois. So if they disbar me in Missouri, it sounds like I might have a better chance in California, since there are First Amendment rights and I can speak freely about Missouri children being being a California attorney. So
come down to California. You would love it here. It would make so much more sense. It's not going to be perfect. There's still going to be cases that piss you off, but it's not Missouri. I'll tell you that much. I don't know what's going on over there, but they got some kind of you are exposing something, and the more that we talk about it, the more eyes that are put on it. I can't imagine they could be this brazen for very long. The more people get clued into this case and start paying attention to it, all it takes is a wave of public support from other professionals in other jurisdictions to expose something rotten that's in Missouri. And Avita is leading the charge. And she's taking this on. I mean, it's mostly all by herself, isn't it?
I am the only, me and my client, the mother of Mikaela, we are the only people on the battleground, and we're constantly being threatened.
How is Michaela's mom holding up?
I mean, she is inspiration to me. She is so strong, and she doesn't want another child to take his or her life in Missouri. We know there is no money in the lawsuit. None. There will be no recovery because the malpractice insurance policy has been depleted. So this is just going about the law, the changing Missouri law to bring in a verdict like in Kowalski case. So next time a guardian ad litem like Williams, well, she's not even a guardian. I shouldn't be even calling her guardian. Next time a person like Williams takes a case, maybe she would think twice.
Predator ad litem. Let's call her a pal. Predator ad litem, not guardian.
Well, in Missouri, they call them gangsters ad litem.
Jesus. I guess that works. I was going to use
But yes,
another
if
word.
we
I was
can
gonna
get
use.
support, if we can get some funding for the lawsuit, that would be great. I mean, I would like court TV in the courtroom. I would like to have IT professionals helping us with exhibits, with audio. I want all of that. But it's Cindy, the mother, and me. We are the sole funders. We're doing it pro bono.
Evita, you know what we should do? Maybe I'll talk to Megan Fox about this, but we should organize a movement. We should organize a fundraising campaign for Evita to help her fund this lawsuit and do what she needs to do to prepare this for trial to accomplish the goal. The goal is to change the case law in Missouri to afford
Yes.
some relief to people that are going through the situation. I think
Right.
that we have enough reach where we can get something together. If we get out to Megan Fox's people, we could go out and start talking about this. Maybe we could have Michaela's mom come on and start talking about this on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
Just keep on giving updates
Absolutely.
and look.
Whatever we need to do. Since it's a federal lawsuit, other circuits can tap into it and they can take, the precedent, because there is not much case law.
I know. Yeah, there's not. From what you described, there's literally not a mechanism for relief to attack a guardian ad litem who is acting poorly or practicing poorly, or for that's not even certified for that matter. Come
Yeah.
on, man. It's beyond absurd, and so it should not be. I mean, I know what they say. It shouldn't be that hard to affect change in the case law in this case, but I know that we're up against
Impossible.
something that we're not used to.
And we're talking about protecting children, the
Yeah.
weakest and the voiceless. I'm not, campaigning for anybody, but the
Right.
children. I just don't want another child to take his or her life. That's what I want. I want some case that will make these people think. People without moral compass, they're driven by greed and money or sexual desires. God knows what motivates them to drive a child to.
Evita, I'm in to do what I can. Eliana, are you in?
Oh,
Eliana's
yes,
in.
definitely.
Megan Fox, I know she wanted to be here, but she has like family stuff to do. And I told her not to worry about it. But this isn't the first time we're going to talk about this case. I know that we don't have our typical larger audience because this case is relatively unknown. People like to come in for the stuff they know about. They don't know about this case yet, but we're going to keep on talking about it on a weekly basis.
Yes, they don't want people to know about this case.
Yeah, well, good luck trying to get to me because I'm all the way over here in California. I'm talking about it one way or another. You're always invited on the show whenever you want to come to talk about it. Whenever there's
You guys
updates
tell
on the
me
case.
when you need me, and I'll be there, because I'm going to be talking about this case until Missouri decides to disbar me.
Yes, ma'am. And then if Michaela's mom wants to ever talk about it or wants a platform, then I could maybe organize something with Megan and just get this out to as many ears as possible.
Yes, please. Michaela's mom, she wants to talk about it. She wants to help other moms
Yes.
to
Let's
protect their daughters and
after this
sons.
show, let's we'll communicate via email. Maybe we'll start trying to set that up. I'll let Megan know what's going on. She knew that we're going to do this. I mean, she introduced me to you. She's been working for like 15 months. She said I've devoted 15 months of my life to this case. She's hoping to affect some kind of a change. I'm fully on board with whatever I can do from way over here, because something needs to be. It can't just be the case where I'm listening to something and I can't think of any legal move to do because they've just dismissed it all. And
Yes.
not even in a logical manner, just because it's a club over there that I'm not a part of.
Exactly. Welcome to Missouri state system. It's a club.
Evita, is there anything that you wanted to share before we wrap up this portion of it?
What I would like to say, guys, thank you for talking about it. Thank you for exposing it. Thank you for educating. Thank you for questioning and validating. And thank you for giving Mikaela and her mother another voice. So I'm very grateful.
Absolutely. And I just want everybody to know that what we talked about is like the bare bones tip of the iceberg about stuff that's going. There's stuff that I don't have time to get to that I haven't even brought up yet about how this case has been litigated. We kind of got a sneak peek into all the stuff, but I think this deserves weekly coverage. It's not that difficult to throw up a once a week live stream to talk about what's going on in this case. We're going to do that. And Avita, whenever I do that, I'm going to let you know when I'm doing it so you could jump on if you want or not.
Sounds good. I'll be
let
here.
Michaela's mom, maybe me and her can get in touch to maybe set up something else with her specifically so she could tell her side. But we're going to attack this with a public platform to the extent that we can. And I'm going to try to get everybody in on it because something good is going to come from it.
Yes.
I have a feeling. This is just the start.
I will take any help, anything. We just need to protect not only Missouri children, every single child in this country deserves protection.
Yeah. We're with you, Evita. We stand with you. And so we're going to start a
Thank
movement.
you, guys. I appreciate it because it's hard to stand with me, you know?
Well, I'm standing. All the way in California. I don't got a Missouri license. Disbar me then. Go, oh, I don't have one, a license over there. But no, we're going to talk about it. And not just me. I promise you, it's going to be other people who aren't even attorneys. They don't even have the same rules. They could say whatever they want with impunity. And so we're going to start this. Avita, I feel like this is the start of something special. But we're not.
Okay, let's do it, guys. I am 100% in.
All righty. Well, Avita, I'm going to let you go. I know you're a busy lady. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of your story with me. I know you got a lot more to say, but we will set something up in subsequent weeks. And in the meantime, if there's anything that you need from me or anything that I can do, just feel free to contact me at any time. You have all my contact info.
Yes, I do. Thank you, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you so much again.
You take care.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks. We're going to take 5-minute break. Let's take 5. Or we're going to come back and do some family law after dark. We haven't done it in a while. I tried to do it by myself and I deleted it because I was unsupervised and inebriated. And so I think we need to lighten the mood. But look, Evita's cause, it is beyond the realm of anything I thought would think possible in the legal community. What is going on over there? I have no words. I don't have any solutions. I don't have anything funny or witty to say. Neither does Ileana, but she's an introvert. So I'm an introvert. I feel I'm probably more of an introvert than Ileana. I think so.
Well,
but I'll tell you what, folks, we're going to take 5. Hey, Dominic, you got the coming soon screen or whatever? You have that set up on your end?
No, I don't.
Freaking Dominic, amateur, man. He had this all set up and now he's like, oh, I'm new here. I'm the new guy. Get out of here, man. We'll be back, folks. Give us 5.